Well, on Sunday, we got a look at the baseball district draw for high schools in Ohio. We'll get into that in a minute as we welcome in Jordan Cairo, Director of Scouting for Prep Baseball Report Ohio. Jordan, thank you for joining us tonight.
No problem, Mark.
Before we get into the bracket racket, let's talk a little bit more about the underclassmen. Last week we talked about some of the juniors, the class of 2024. There's already some 2025s you're keeping an eye on as well.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a few names here. Once again, try to give you a couple different type of prospects. Now, in the sophomore class with an area as talent rich as what we're talking about, it's tough to get on the field as a sophomore. So some of these guys, if you're getting on the field already, that's already impressive. So maybe 5 names. The first guy that comes to mind is a guy named Braylon Schneider. He's out of Fremont Ross. We have him ranked in the top 20 overall in the state. And this dude's explosive. It doesn't take a seasoned scout to notice this dude walking off the bus. And we went to watch Fremont Ross, and I asked you, I said, which one do you think a top 20 player in the state is? And he walked off the bus. You'd be like, yeah, that's him. 6'2", 185, put together. We had him up to 90 this winter with a wipeout slider, and at that age, it's just impressive. And when he's in the zone, man, it's just really tough for hitters to handle him. So he's a guy, when he's on the mound and he's on, Fremont Ross has a chance against anybody in the state. And then a position player we're really high on is Drew Tablick out of Lake High School. Drew, I hope I said your last name right, buddy. I've seen him play a ton of times, but I could never get that last name right. But he's another guy that's uber talented, top 40 prospect in the state, 6'2", rangy. He's kind of, we call him a Swiss Army knife type prospect because he does everything at a high level. He can really defend. He's uber aggressive on the bases. Like, he's just a guy that's always trying to make stuff happen, has the tools in the box. Right now, I guess you could say he's a little bit more ahead as a position player, but it's also really impressive on the mound. And at 6'2", I think he's a $155. As he continues to fill out, he's up to 84 already. He's going to light up the radar gun someday. So not sure what he's going to end up being, but he's going to do something really, really good at the next level with those tools. And then 3 guys that were on our radar heading into the spring, but have really proved that they're some of the top sophomores in that area through their play this spring. A guy named Jackson Snyder out of Ottawa Hills. He's been very impressive when we've been in attendance. Our Northwest Ohio guys rave about him. We have a guy on Central Catholic staff and another scout who's seen him play. And he's a 6'2", 170-pound dude that gets it done on both sides of the ball. We've seen it up to 82. There's no doubt more in the tank. And then the swing really plays. And a common theme with these guys that we identify early is they're athletic and they're not near their physical ceiling. At 16 years old, most of these guys, 15, 16 years old, they still have a ton of projection left. He's one of those guys that we've identified early as that we think once he hits the weight room, he's going to be a beast. And then kind of along those same lines, we got a guy named Trey Rubenstein out of Napoleon High School, 6'3", 175 pounds. His brother was a mid to upper 80s arm in high school, went on to play college football, but definitely could have played college baseball if he wanted. And you can see the collegiate football genetics when you look at Trey. Big physical dude, another guy that can get it done on both sides of the ball. So he's a guy that's really improved his stock for us this spring. Very talented player. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about top team in the state. They got a guy named out of Eastwood. They got a guy named Colton Woodward that's been very impressive. He would play shortstop on 90% of the teams in the state of Ohio, but they got a baller out there right now, a senior named Case Boo. So he's taking over shortstop now, but I have a feeling that Woodward will be that guy his junior and senior year. He can flat out defend. One of the better gloves we have in the area. Hit tools there as well, but he's a guy that when you see him take ground balls, it's kind of like poetry in motion out there. So a lot of talented players in the sophomore class, but those are 5 to keep an eye on for now.
On Sunday, we learned that Anthony Wayne was the #1 seed in the Northwest District 4 Division I. And as we've kind of talked about all spring long, Jordan, there's a lot of parity in Division I Northwest District. So I don't know if anybody could come out of this bracket and we'd be surprised by that because there are so many good teams and no one has really separated themselves from the rest of the pack.
No, I completely agree with you. The word competitive balance is what comes to mind when I think about it. Yeah, AW is probably the favorite right now because of their experience. They have a ton of seniors in that lineup, but they're going to have a tough early matchup. I mean, assuming they get by their first game, then they have the winner of Whitmer and Ross, and Whitmer has a really talented left-handed pitcher, Viola on the mound that I would assume would throw, and he's going to throw against the guy we just talked about, Braylon Schneider. So 2 very talented teams, and they're going to get the winner of that. And then on the other side of that section, I mean, between Southview, DeSales, Findlay, Holland, Springfield, I mean, take your pick, man. I mean, it's almost like picking out of a hat. All those teams on any given day could beat each other. And then on the other side, you look at the Finley sectional, and geez, man, that thing is loaded. A bunch of teams we've talked about all year. If it were to stay chalk by the seedings, which it's Ohio baseball, so I doubt it, but if it were to stay chalk, you're looking at a Final Four with St. John's, Perrysburg, Clay versus Northview, teams we've hit on, and those teams play a 10-game series. You're looking at 5-5, 6-4. So that's going to be a really fun district to follow. I'm both of those sides, so I can't wait to see what happens. But you're going to see a lot of tightly contested ball games. Whoever slings it on the mound the best and doesn't make mistakes defensively likely comes out of those.
In Division II, who's got the best shot of knocking off Defiance?
I don't know, man. I think Defiance is pretty loaded right there. And we've seen them a ton. I don't even know. I think I would stick with the favorite right there. But Division III, that's gonna be a bloodbath, man. If you look at that with Eastwood, they've been the top ranked team for us, Division III, almost the entire year. But they had that district, man, such a tough draw. 3 of the top 4 teams in the state are in that district with them, Coldwater and Wayne Trace. So that's going to be another really fun one to keep an eye on. And then if you look at Ottawa Hills, man, they might be the best 6 seed that we've had in the state in years, because they're loaded, man. But they played a really tough schedule, maybe even like you consider a Division I, Division II type schedule. They didn't back down from anyone in the regular season, so their record might be not a great identification of the talent they have on that team. So they got the 6 seed, and I feel bad for Defiance Tenora, the 1 seed, because they're going to have to play them game 2. And I don't think when you draw the number 1 seed, you're expecting to play those big boys in game 2. But I expect the 6 seed to make a deep run in these playoffs.
Yeah, the Green Bears so young this season. They're growing and maturing, and they're maybe not quite as green in May as they were in March. Sectional gets underway this coming week. I want to thank our guest, Jordan Cairo from Prep Baseball Report, Ohio, for joining us. Jordan, thank you so much.
No problem, Mark. See you next week.